So we are electromagnetic beings. We have both two forms of energy, such as electricity and magnetism, that although they're separate, they coexist as one energetically. That in more of the esoteric or even modern day a school of Chinese medicine, they refer to a type of qi, the qi that governs our vitality, which comprises of such energy fields. Because of human conditioning and the development of individual belief systems, meaning that a lot of people collectively have like agreed upon belief systems within their community or their social norms or the school they go to or the work they live or just life whatsoever, from my observation growing up as a person, people are still yet not as aware the importance of the energy of both grounding with the earth, physically grounding, just as in the sense of being barefoot. Not everybody has the opportunity or thinks about the necessity for your body to be barefooted seemingly every day. And also the sun. We require the sun. It sounds like crazy because it's like, if you look at it, just like if you think about the concept of being an avatar, it's the biology is actually true. We actually are self-sufficient. We run on this qi, this energy that I was talking about. And without that qi, then we can't physically live. Meaning that in more of a Chinese medical perspective, once your essence, your vital qi, once it's depleted in life, that's when you naturally pass. Let's say you in a healthy state, when it's your time to go, and you go in a natural state, and hopefully you're an elder, and you pass away. A lot of the times, a lot of the elders that actually are really in tune to themselves because of life, they know when they're going. They have an idea, and oftentimes they do make peace with themselves of going, because there's no other choice, right? But they have the sense of knowing when their vital energy is depleted. They may not be able to explain it, but they're very, very, very aware of that. I'll give you myself as an example. Not that long ago, I was working long hours as an acupuncturist in this clinic, about an hour away, one way, and I enjoyed it because somehow through the driving, I was able to go more towards more of like I want to say maybe an alpha sense of meditation, because I was going early in the morning and it was pure highway miles, and there were many downloads with me being within myself and just driving, and I enjoyed it, and I did it for about half a year. And it took about half a year for me to start to feel certain symptoms, and I'm not saying it's directly a result of it, but this whole message, well, what happened, or one of my symptoms that started to occur, led me to feel the need to have to speak about this. I started to develop cold limbs, but mostly in the beginning, I was developing like maybe cold toes on my left, and then it started to become both my limbs and my hands. And I started to go through the fight or flight response and saying, what is going on? And started to change my diet yet again. And I started to observe certain things that I realized how important. And I noticed one major factor of what keeps my feet warm, almost like the symptom became a living gauge for me that didn't go right away. And I had to kind of like accept it. Even as an acupuncturist, I was treating it sometimes. and I felt great, but then my body intelligently was trying to make me aware of something. So it turned out that symptom started to show me that I wasn't receiving enough sunlight, and I wasn't grounding enough. And how was that? Again, based on my own personal case study. The tires of my car. Most of us were driving in our car all day, and we know that rubber naturally disinhibits us from our natural connection to the earth. Now think about that of a car. We're in a car all the time. A lot of us are, and then we start developing lower back pain, and we start to develop all these like weird symptoms, tightness in the lower extremities or sciatica. Then we go to the doctor, and then they say it's this and that and this and that, and it could be, but one of the main factors when you have stagnation like that, when you have cold limbs, cold extremities, or for some people neuropathies, you can name it what you want to as far as the diagnosis, such as, well, I have diabetes, which I don't. I'm just saying I have diabetes type 2, and because of that, I developed neuropathy because of my blood sugar balance. Yes, that's that can be factual. But from an esoteric perspective, understanding your energy dynamics, and it's been proven already in science, but I'm speaking more of what's already been proven many, many times over. Just now, like the technology is showing the proof of what's always been, is that your electrical field, not just your nervous system, but somewhere in your molecular structure, it could be your fascial tissue, it could be your muscle, it could be ligaments, it could be tendons, there is stagnation. Sometimes stagnation due to deficiency, sometimes stagnation due to some sort of an excess, and sometimes it's stagnation due to improper diet, improper exercise, not stretching, yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, you cannot actually almost coin any physical somatic symptoms, such as the one I'm leaving as an example, as an electrical blockage somehow. Somehow the message between your chi, your vital chi, and that particular place where there's stagnation, right, is imbalances, and for many reasons. And one of the ways that you can actually restore functional anatomy, of course, meditation, and of course, eating right, and of course, exercising, and having good cardiovascular health, taking care of yourself. But there are times where you start to ascend, especially if you start going deeper with your meditation. And as the world is actually changing, your body's going to show deeper, more profound symptoms, even if you take care of yourself, such as myself. And I like the example of having cold limbs. I had to search deeper, which gave me the inner wisdom that, yes, I spoke about it in the past, but now I was experiencing it within myself, which allowed me to go even deeper. And I started to pay attention to the tires of my car. And I realized that I was sitting in my car 2 hours a day, and I was sitting indoors as an acupuncturist practitioner for 12 hours a day, 3.5 days a week, 40 hours, but there were 12-hour shifts. And what was the thing? I bought myself like these minimalistic shoes, whatnot, which helps me keep my free formation of my feet. But yet, most of these companies, as far as I understand, has rubber in it. Most of us walk with rubber, our shoes, our sneakers. So not only our cars, but also the footwear that we wear. And if you have a full-time job, even a part-time job, 4 to 5, 6 hours a day minimally, right? With being in your car as well, you are inhibiting yourself from your body and the ground, which is not our genetic makeover. It's not our nature to be so. We naturally started to evolve and started to live long lives like that, but not excluding pathologies, and it's not is overlooked. Why? Because you can't patent that. That's free. The information is free, and the way of medicating yourself is actually free. So, and by the way, I ended up getting myself shoes that were like, unfortunately, it was leather. I tried not to get like things that are leather, but it was leather bottom. I think it was Earthing Harmony or something like that. And it was grounded with copper, so the copper touches my shoe, and also the copper touches the ground, which is a great way. But it helps, right? I'm just giving you some of what I do for myself. I noticed that as I started to wear those shoes, and I started to go barefooted, get barefooted, just as now I'm here in the park right now. A lot of kids are playing soccer, so you might hear some screaming. I noticed that my feet were finding itself almost like profusely sweating, and I started to feel like almost like lead, the weight of lead that was wearing down on where my feet were cold when I was grounding myself more. And if you've ever received acupuncture, and if you're an acupuncturist, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever received acupuncture and you've gone enough, maybe it's your first time, it's very common that you experience like the feeling of heaviness in your body, which is a very natural response. And it can also feel as if it's like your arms or your legs feel like lead. And yeah, you can move it, but when you receive those needles and you start receiving the treatment, remember that's you're touching in the neuroplastic part of your body when somebody inserts needles. So you are already tapping in just by inducing microtrauma with stainless steel, which is a conductor, right? An electrical conductor. It's an alloy. You start to lead. When you feel your feet like lead, it means that there is an imbalance. It could be somewhere in your lymphatic system. It could be fluid. It could be chi, like I mentioned before. It could be blood stasis. It could be old injuries. It could be some kind of like a trauma. It could be scarring. Anything like that. Over time, maybe not overnight, depending on how sensitive you are as a person, that leads to a disharmony between the natural flow of your body's electrical and magnetic field. So, long story short, the easy way to start to become more conscious of your imbalances is to make sure you pay attention. Listen to yourself, observe more, be honest to yourself, and realize in a given day, you're probably wearing rubber sneakers. They could be minimalist, and you're going to look at the bottom and they're rubber. And your car, unfortunately, all cars are rubberized. And I don't think that's by accident or a coincidence. Going into the esoteric side of that, if you think about the energy of humans, just like we have meridians in our pathway and we have energy that travels through us, and that has been proven through science, but I don't care about that. I already know that as a martial art practitioner. Anybody who works with yoga or qigong, you can actually define and see and feel for yourself how your qi, your vital life force, your wei qi, your immune system qi, and other labeled qis in your body, like anatomy and physiology, like each part of your qi is labeled in the same way as you would label different parts of your energy construct using anatomy and physiology. It's the same thing with Chinese medicine. You start to, how do you say? You become aware of what's moving and what's not. And fortunately, unfortunately, the more aware that you become in your body, the more symptoms tend to amplify. And it can trigger a fight or flight response. And that is common. Why? It's because the fight or flight response, what triggers that is your adrenal glands, is the chemistry in your body trying to find balance. And that is actually your body's intelligence, your instinctual intelligence with your lower mind, which always sounds horrible. Your lower mind is always like the dark mind, but it also is what keeps us unconsciously, keeps our heart beating unconsciously, right? Many people said this before. Most of us became conscious of our ability to shut off our heart because we became conscious of being able to tap into the neural networks that govern that movement. We'd kill ourselves because we'd be curious or we'll be too freaked out. It's just like a free moving switch. So again, those instincts are here to protect us as people. I don't even know if I would kill myself or not. Not intentional. But going back to highway, if you pay attention to the circulation of people who drive all the time in the highway, especially during traffic hour in the mornings, you notice that you can drive north to south, east to west of the United States, and you can actually go across the country and drive, and you notice like incoming, outgoing traffic going away. If you listen to it using your right thinking mind in the creative side, and like as an artist, right, or a musician, you can see the symphony of humans when they're driving. Everybody, like birds flying, they all start driving in synchronicity. I mean, there's a couple bad drivers out there, right? But you see and feel the flow of it. And when you tap into the highway, you're in complete flow. Where do you think the energy goes? All of these cars, 100% of these cars are rubberized. We're not grounded, yet we're free-flowing energy with the vehicle, but our bodies, right? Our thinking bodies. And collectively, not conscious, most of us, we're driving somewhere together in some type of a harmony. White, black, Hispanic, brown, beige, pink. Blood types are different. Meat eaters, non-meat eaters. We become one when we're driving. They don't want us to know that. That's why, obviously scientists are going to say, that's not true. Rubber is the only way. It doesn't matter. Maybe collectively we can't change that right now, and it may not happen anytime soon as far as changing rubber. But they, whoever they are, quote unquote, they, use your imagination. It could mean a lot of things. It could be politics. It could be a lot of things. I'm not going to go that much deeper, but it can be also in the higher levels of entity and dark energy formation, right? And in the lower levels as well. They feed off of that because when, just like a chicken is not aware of the energy, and a lot of us eat chicken and we don't feel as bad about it because they don't have that consciousness. We are the chicken. We forget that we're like fish swimming in water, and we forgot the ability, unfortunately not for fish yet, or the fish down here, is that they don't know, or they're not evolved yet to come out of water and to become self-aware of a new state of mind. Remember, Jesus was a fisherman, and the age of Pisces just closed out. So fish, humans, in the same way, we go through faith and believing that there's something outside of our parameters. So in our case, we are fish within our souls encased in our bodies. Our bodies are 70% water. Our brain is composed of about 90-something% of water. We are water bodies. We flow and we swim in water. The mind and I guess anatomy and physiology will trick our minds, because you're like, well, where's the water? Prove it to me. Well, just talk to any real scientist. Any real physician that goes deep into their training, they will be able to break it down that we have moving water in our bodies. And then in a healthy state, moving water means healthy lymphatic system. Healthy lymphatic system means that you're not holding and retaining water. You're not retaining lymphatic fluid, which means toxicity, which eventually evolves into things such as like cysts, benign cysts, tumors. Things start to become thickening and becomes more toxic when your water body is not moving. And one of the major reasons why your water body doesn't move, think about the ocean. The ocean water would be still if it weren't for the moon. The moon is like one big copper, some type of metallic ball, unlike the sun, which is kind of like the electrical side. The moon works with the field. It exists with the field of the earth, being that the earth has also other alloys. So when the moon goes through a cycle, that's why you have like different changes of currents in the ocean. And that's why people are also impacted by the moon. And that's why females, when they're not in synchronicity with that energy, change their menstruation. Moonstration means that they're a healthy woman. When they menstruate, they should be able to around the clock, they should be able to cyclically menstruate during their moon cycle. So if you start seeing yourself and start seeing life in the form of energy exchange, and if you're a physician, great, you can actually implement this and expand your practice. You don't have to be a physician. You need to be a physician of your life. You have to remember that many of us now are awakening and remembering. Some of us are remembering in this life, and some of us are bringing back past life remembrances with the help of our future selves. They say your higher mind, right? And everybody's receiving these downloads from different ways, because everybody's different and their journey's different. That our dream state realm, the astral realm, is us remembering fish out of water. Is us remembering that our souls are not limited to our bodies, but because of our fears of dying, because of religious conditioning, because of human conditioning. You could say whatever it is. We already have the codes that make us afraid, and that's why we freak out when we start to get or receive an out-of-body experience, and our souls get pulled right back into the almost like this umbilical field between the connection of our souls and our body, which is part of our instincts, which is part of what helps us not kind of like soulfully die per se. Because again, just like if you were conscious and you weren't ready with knowing how to stop your heartbeat and allow it to rest for a second, not that you would want to. The same thing with your soul. If you're conscious about leaving your body, what will happen is that you will have an awakening in the worst way, in the harshest way, and it may be part of your journey, but most of us will collapse. Most of us will dismantle, or most of us will also freak out so much and they'll just like shut the door on that, because we have strong minds as humans, and we could shut it down and just change our mission to something else, and then we miss one of the most valuable lessons that we are needed to be reminded as to why a lot of us were born here was to remember how to fly, to learn how to remember that we don't just swim in our swimming body in our bodies. We don't just breathe air, that's required also. But it's also going into the chemistry of knowing the difference between H2O and O2, and understanding like the magnetism and the electricity, such as each blood cell in your body has a molecule or something like that of iron, right? And iron is magnetic by nature. It's a weak magnetic, I think they call it paramagnetic field. It's weak, and scientists will, or not scientists, but like more of like social media scientists will debunk it and say there's no charge to it, it's too weak. But that weakness is necessary to attract the minimally positively charged oxygen molecule, so that your blood can actually, when you inhale, when you breathe, your blood can attract. So if you understand how energy works, you see how there's two different fields. There's an electrical field and a magnetic field, and they are happening even though you're not conscious of it all the time. So we require, just like we require water and we require breathing, just the same, we require our electromagnetic field to be always in harmony, and no different than a plant. You know, a plant uses, I think, the biology of photosynthesis. We have a different structure, but it's a very basic research. If you look at each cell in your body, each molecule, each atom, and you would understand freakishly so as to, if you're not doing this, as to why and it's so important for you to find a way to ground into earth. And even more than ever, we're shungite. I have like obsidian and quartz, whatever. There's amethyst. There's hematite. There's all these stones that you can work and wear to assist you if you feel led to wear them. And it's important that we start to become, meaning like, okay, I like this, so I'm going to become aware of it. It's like practicing it to become what you desire to attract. And if you desire to attract optimal health, if you desire that you want to attract harmony and expansiveness in your electrical magnetic field, as a human you are, then these are, as I'm speaking, necessary steps to start to attract more in your research, attract more in your way of exercising and whatnot. And hit me up if you need to make any consultations with me, because everybody's different, and we can individuate you so that you can be in the highest level of alignment. We all need each other, you know, to some degree. And I'm just here for those that maybe might align to me and with me and whatnot. So I do offer consultations. Just you can private message me or text me and whatnot, and we can take it from there. And if you're not sure, you can always we can always book a complimentary consultation, 15-20 minutes, no strings attached. We could just talk as friends, and then we can take it from there and see if we both resonate with each other. We both have to resonate with each other, by the way. I don't just like take in clients or patients anymore. I did that before, but and not for any bad reasons, but also just like I can only attract who I am means that I am more than willing and able and capable and excited to attract even those who are not there yet per se, or people who are in a higher realm, but there's something that me and them would need to share, such as like in consultation, having a consultation together, and I could work with them in that level, and that is attracting more of who you are, and we both become illuminated through these like private consultations from my years of experience in doing so, both in a clinical setting and now through kind of like a Zoom setting. Lastly, there's this book that I read years ago. I think it's regarding the Tarahumara Mexican Indian tribe, and these are the tribe that are famous for being able to run barefoot for miles, like 2-3 days straight. Like I'm talking like 20-30 miles, a lot of them, and they don't get injured, they don't hurt themselves. And there's this book, I think it's called Born to Run. Yeah, look into it, because then it teaches you, it'll show you a perspective of one person. I think McDowell or something like that. McDougall or something like that. McDougall, I think his last name, excuse me. It's a powerful book. I didn't read the whole thing. I got the gem of knowledge reading it halfway, but one day I would like to read the whole thing. But you could look into minimalistic wear. But again, there's rubber is going to help a lot. But it's, again, even more important that you start to find a way to connect with the earth, so you can start receiving the vitality that's no different than food. From the earth and from the sun, and we need to be able to recharge that. That's what's required for us to be able to open up our spiritual abilities for those who are ascending, and we continue to ascend no matter what. But don't limit yourself and take the harder route. You can, because that could be your journey, but it's important to also use your intelligence and your wisdom, because then you become a testimony to somebody else, and you can explain how it didn't work and how it did, and people require that from you. We all need you.